Your baby is crying, you pick them up, and within seconds they stop. Most parents assume it's comfort, that the baby felt better, that hearing your voice was enough, and sure, that's part of it, but the real reason, it goes so much deeper than that. Deep enough that once you understand what's actually happening, you will never see that ordinary moment the same way again. This isn't just emotional, it's chemical, it's neurological, and it's so precisely measurable that researchers are now saying the act of holding your baby isn't simply soothing. Biologically speaking, it is medicine. Today, I'm going to walk you through exactly what happens step by step inside your baby's brain and body the second you pick them up. And there's one part in particular about what consistently low holding does to a baby's stress system over time that most parents never hear. By the time we get there, the question of whether you're holding your baby too much will never cross your mind again. Let's start with cortisol. Cortisol is your baby's stress hormone, but don't think of stress the way adults experience it. Deadlines, arguments, a long commute, that's not your baby's world. Your baby's stress is something far more primal. Stress is separation. Stress is hunger. Stress is any unmet need inside a body that has absolutely zero ability to meet it alone. When a baby cries and nobody comes, cortisol doesn't inch up gradually. It spikes. Fast. And in a brain that is still under construction, still laying down the very architecture that will govern emotions, relationships, and resilience for the rest of that person's life, repeated cortisol spikes with no calming response don't just feel bad. They physically alter how the brain develops. Here's a specific example worth knowing. The hippocampus is the brain region responsible for memory and emotional regulation. It's also one of the most cortisol-sensitive structures in the developing brain. Studies have shown that when cortisol remains chronically elevated in infancy, hippocampal volume actually decreases. Smaller hippocampus, harder time regulating emotions, more difficulty managing stress. And those effects don't stay in infancy, they travel forward. This isn't about one hard night. It's not about being 5 minutes late to pick them up once. It's about patterns, about what the nervous system learns to expect, about what gets wired in during those earliest months when the brain is more plastic, more vulnerable, and more responsive to experience than it will ever be again. And this is exactly where your arms come in. The moment you lift your baby, something immediate begins. Skin makes contact, their body registers your warmth, your heartbeat reaches them, your breathing rhythm enters their awareness. And within seconds, a cascade starts moving in the opposite direction. Cortisol begins to fall. Oxytocin, the bonding hormone, releases in both of you simultaneously. Not just in your baby. In you, your heart rate slows, your breathing settles. The vagal nerve, the primary highway of the parasympathetic nervous system, the system that creates calm and signals safety, activates in both of you at the same time. This is not a metaphor, this has been measured. Researchers tracking real-time physiological data have documented exactly how fast this happens. The cortisol drop begins within minutes of being held. Heart rate variability, one of the key markers of nervous system health, stabilizes almost immediately upon contact. Your baby doesn't stop crying because they decided to feel better. They stop crying because their biology changed, and you changed it. Now here's where another layer opens up. You may have heard of the still face experiment. Dr. Edward Tronick's research asked mothers to go completely blank and unresponsive for just 2 minutes, no expression, no reaction, nothing. And within seconds, babies became visibly distressed. Heart rate up, cortisol rising. They tried everything to get their mother back, smiling, pointing, making sounds. And when none of it worked, they collapsed inward. What that experiment revealed is something profound. Your baby is not just receiving your presence. They are using it. Your regulated nervous system functions as an external regulator for their completely unregulated one. They literally borrow your calm to calm themselves down. This is why a tense parent holding a crying baby often finds the baby keeps crying, because your baby isn't only feeling your arms around them. They are reading your muscle tension. They are registering your breathing pattern. They are tracking the rhythm of your heartbeat. When you are dysregulated, the signal doesn't fully transmit because what your baby needs isn't just physical contact. It's the biological data of a calm nervous system pressed against theirs. One slow breath before you pick them up. Just one. That single breath shifts your vagal tone just enough that the message your baby receives when they reach your chest is genuinely different. It sounds almost too small to matter. The research says otherwise. If this video is opening something up for you, subscribe right now. We break down the science of early development in a way that actually connects to what you do the next morning. The next video goes even deeper into how your nervous system shapes your baby's brain before they can say a single word. You don't want to miss it. Now let's talk about what happens over time. The difference between babies who are held consistently and babies who aren't. Researchers use the term cortisol baseline, the resting level of stress hormone present when nothing particularly stressful is happening. And the research on physical contact in infancy is remarkably consistent on this point. Babies who experience chronically low physical contact, even in loving homes where they are fed, cared for, and wanted, show measurably higher cortisol baselines. Their nervous systems are not in crisis. There is no visible danger, but they are running a low-grade stress response around the clock because one of the most fundamental biological signals of safety, the physical presence of a caregiver, is consistently missing. And a nervous system that starts running hot in infancy that never quite learns what full regulation feels like tends to carry that forward, not as permanent damage, not as a life sentence, but as a default setting that requires more effort to override with every passing year. The reverse is equally true. Babies who are held often, responded to consistently, carried, and kept close. They show lower cortisol baselines, more stable nervous system function, and a stronger foundation for the emotional regulation skills they will spend the next 2 decades learning to use. You are not spoiling your baby by holding them. You are setting their stress system's baseline. You are teaching their nervous system what normal feels like, and what you teach it now, it will remember. Now here is the part I think matters most, the part that almost never gets said out loud. When your baby stops crying because you pick them up, there is a moment, sometimes brief, sometimes longer, where they look at you. That completely open, unguarded, direct gaze that only babies give. Like they are seeing everything and hiding nothing. In that moment, their brain is doing something extraordinary. It is recording. It is filing the fact that distress came and a response came, that the world answered, that they were worth answering. That recording happens hundreds of times across the first year. And what builds from all of those moments is what researchers call internal working models, mental maps of how relationships work, whether the world is safe, whether needs get met or go ignored, whether asking for help is worth it. These aren't conscious beliefs. Your baby isn't thinking any of this. These are felt structures, body-level templates that will shape how they trust, how they love, how they handle vulnerability for the rest of their lives. Every time you hold your baby when they cry, you are writing one line of that map. Not perfectly, you won't always get there in time. There will be days when you are so exhausted that the holding happens, but the presence is somewhere else entirely. That is not failure. That is just being human. What matters is the pattern. What matters is that the map, built line by line, cry by cry, hold by hold, says more often than not, when I needed someone, someone came. That is the cortisol effect. That is what is happening in your arms right now. That is the science behind the most ordinary, most powerful thing you do every single day.